Mongoose Jake here on 4th of July. I'm going to release this video as kind of my way of showing patriotism through the hobby of flinging foam. And I'm going to do that in a special way with what is a quintessential now American styled blaster. Of course, the Busby Abrams M16 from the Walking Dead series is, a direct version of the M16, only made to fling 50 caliber foam rather than actual lethal ammunition. This is my patriotic Hydra dipped and modded Abrams M16. One of my absolute favorite spring powered blasters, and yes, you're hearing fireworks in the background. I'm recording this after I've already done ours, and I'm finishing this up as a multi-part video as I've been working on this thing diligently to get this to where I can actually release the video at the end of the 4th of July for everybody to enjoy. But this is a labor of love, we'll say. It has, the paint job itself has a 6-coat, I'm holding up 5, it'd be six coats of a white base primer, and then a Hydra dip. And I dipped this front section completely separate from the main body, and then the other pieces. And the handle is separately, and the rear butt plate of that very nice stock actually is done separately. The accent pieces were left in their stock plastic. That's one nice thing about Busby. They have these removable pieces here, and doing this reverse here, then here, then here, up front. Yeah, I'm trying to do this through the camera's viewfinder here, but these pieces are removable. You have to just drill out the back of them because they're held in place with pegs that are solvent welded. You remove those and you have access to keeping these as they were or individually painting them. Nice touch. I love working with Busby shells for that reason. And also, the best grip on any primary worthy blaster from Busby ever since the Champion. But this thing also did get a brass easy breech. I'll show this to you here in stages. This is the finished portion of it, and I'm going to be doing this to show you everything. It's going to be kind of a, here's the finished product and here's how I did it. So we'll go ahead and get into that. to show the hydro dipping in a quick little kind of segment there, and I want to do the intermediate stage here where I'm going to show you the results on each side after I've got the panels placed back in, and then I'm going to reassemble this. Here, of course, left side of the shell, the right side of the shell, the two 4 pieces of the shell, and I absolutely love the way this turned out. Of course, the inspiration being the patriotic theme, but I was thinking of all the swirls of a flag kind of curling and waving in the wind. That was the idea behind this. But we'll go ahead and put this together, and it's a basic Busby internals, but it's a little different, say from like a Tactical Storm or a Thermal Hunter, in that this front section actually contains the magwell, and the rear section contains the spring, the rest of the blaster together. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'll probably speed this through to help you save a little time. Dart tooth gets placed here. There is a peg right there, and that has a torsion spring. And of course, I am using an easy breech style. I already have that done. Let you see that through. All the way through to the workbench there. Nice 17/32 brass with my typical trumpeted end, and I actually absolutely love the way that one turned out. And it works just as a standard breech, just with a much better air seal, so it allows you to achieve higher velocity, especially once you upgrade the spring. But this is where the breech plunger tube assembly slides through here, loads the dart, off it goes. And this will allow you to run short lengths if you prefer. But that peg right there, and if you have this apart, follow the opening here. The grip section attaches to that, which I left that in the stock white color. It's going to fit real well with the hydro dipping. It's the peg at the back end of that. And don't lose the rod, don't lose the dart tooth if you're going to do this, unless you're going to do a sealed breech system, and don't lose the little itty bitty torsion spring. Those are going to be hard to source. Actually, you need to place the rod here on the left side, and it goes into the corresponding hole. Let's let that zoom in. There we go. The rod actually goes in the corresponding hole. I showed it first on the right side, but then you put the torsion spring. Let me show the orientation of that real quick. It has a hooked section, and again, I'm going to have to let my camera focus on this. There we go. You can just see it there. There's a little hook that wraps around that part of the dart tooth. That is how it orients. This other end that sticks farther out will actually hang and snag on the shell. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to place it down, and there is the tab right here at the base of the rod that it actually will snag onto. So hook it on the rod and orient that longer end of the torsion spring underneath, and then when you flip this around, now it should have a fall down persistence, we'll call it, or tendency. It should have the tendency to want to fall down, because the breech itself, when you push forward, it will push this up. So that will actually cause it to elevate and hold the dart in place. Here is the dart tooth actuation mechanism. That's how that would look. You do have a shouldered screw. It should be the only one out of the whole entire blaster. That shoulder screw will actually go in place here to lock that down. But that's one of the few that you need to actually be concerned with. Before you assemble it, make sure everything still functions smoothly. Like right there, working good. I'm actually going to back it off just a little. There we go. That's what you want to see before you assemble this. You don't want to see any parts sticking anywhere, no binding. Just see, was it pushed all the way down? There. That's what you want to see. The other piece you're going to want to make sure you assemble on the front before you put it together is the dart guide. That Busby actually puts a spring-loaded dart guide, which is quite nice. Helps them basically almost eliminates the jams that you go get with Nerf blasters. And instead of having jam doors, Busby just simply tries to do their best to engineer a way to eliminate the problem in the first place. I prefer that method. Jam doors also would be nice, but they decided to go that route instead. Okay, now here we are back. I went ahead and reassembled the rear, and I wanted to show what I've done. I have a 8.2 kilogram spring in there. That is for a Nerf retaliator, but it works on all Busby current springers outside of a very select few. I have the mag release installed. You make sure to orient it with the angle part down. It allows the magazine to pass right by it. And that's how it should look when you have it set up properly. I reinstalled the trigger with the dart tooth operation rod, we'll call it. It just passes through underneath the front section and catches the actual mechanism right there. I did actually double up the catch springs. When you order those 8.2 kilogram springs or the 7 kilogram, whatever, through NF Strike, which I've got a bunch I'm going to use up, you get an extra little catch spring because it's for a Nerf retaliator. It's actually able to fit in there into the catch mechanism with the stock spring. Doing that not necessarily because the catch needs it, because typically Busby catches don't on a 7 or 8 kilogram spring. But I'm doing it for crisp response, because that will actually make the trigger snap forward really quick without having to do anything to the trigger spring. So that's installed, and I did pad the plunger head with the same technique I normally use of a rounded section of hot glue. Improved the seal, re-lubricated, we're good to go. I'm going to button it up. We'll come back to a firing demonstration. Now, coming back after I showed you a little bit of the hydro dipping, a bit of the modding, you see that it does have a 17/32 easy breech. That's my personal own design. I don't know if anybody else ever came up with it first, but all it is a dart length amount of brass with a trumpeted fore end, and that allows the darts to really consistently feed. And I actually have chronographed this. I'll put in a variety of darts here in a little 6-round mag, which actually looks pretty nice on this, by the way. I have chronographed this firing at around about 120 to 140. Depends on the dart. It's running off an 8.2 kilogram spring with basically not a whole lot else done. Easy breech, 8.2 kilogram spring, my typical dead space reduction and plunger head padding. It's a 2-in-1 deal with the hot glue dome into the cavity that Busby plunger heads have, and an improved seal that I've lubricated the seal, lubricated the inside of the plunger tube, and that's it. My very standard procedure for Busby blasters at this point, if you've watched this channel. And those mods consistently, with a variety of darts, are going to get you, if you've done them right, I'm going to conservatively say 115 to 130 feet per second on a 7 or 8 kilogram spring. In this case, it's the 8.2 kilogram spring. And I will fire a couple shots here at the board in front of me. And it's got a good solid amount of hit to it. This will be a primary that I use personally, and it's going to see some use here later this month or early August when I do get my event arranged and scheduled, because I do want to have an event the moment I'm permitted to when the group restriction is lifted. But this is freedom. My inspiration was a literal flag waving in the wind. I seen one and I was like, you know what? I want to do a kind of wavy hydro dip with red, white, and blue. Because both my parents were Marines. I have both my grandfathers were veterans as well. And this is kind of my my tribute, we'll say, to anyone who served. And just, if you're patriotic at all, then even if it's something as small as this, do something. Because here in America, we do have a lot of freedoms. We have the freedom to enjoy our hobbies with, you know, very little risk. We have the freedom to do what we want with our lives. And some people in some countries don't. And we should always be thankful for that. So, freedom. The name of the blaster, and it's going to be one that I love because Busby made a great blaster, I think, with Abraham's M16. It came ready to use, very comfortable, and very, very war-worthy once you get some mods. But that is Freedom. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you do enjoy the Busby modding. I am actually going to be coming back to that, as there's not really a whole lot from the other companies out there right now that I'm really, really enthusiastic about. And let's face it, I am the Busby guy. My best impersonation of course, the Nerf creator. And if I can be the Busby version of the Nerf creator, that's good enough for me. So I hope you love this Busby mod of Freedom. And hope you've had a happy 4th and a safe one as well. Because, hey, we want you around for the next one. Because there's always that. But this is Jake saying thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.